Welcome to Crucible CloudWorks Live. My name is Chris, and each week we'll be interviewing professionals in their respective fields to get a behind-the-scenes look at what their day-to-day life is like and what it took to get there. It is my goal to empower you to find a role that you feel comfortable in, and maybe, by listening to our guests speak, you, too, can find your way. Initially, this podcast was to promote Salesforce and our team here at Crucible CloudWorks, but throughout the process, we've come across so many people with their unique take on this thing called work. Wherever you are right now, you're in the right place. So let's get started. Today we're speaking to Peter Seckler, or as he's known on Instagram, RabbitFighter13.
Yes.
And in the interest of full disclosure, Peter, I've known Peter quite a while now. We first initially met and we only knew each other in a virtual sense. Later on, we got together because we wanted to form a band of all things. And we played in a band together for a little while, and I've considered Peter one of my closer friends, and it's always a pleasure to bring someone onto this podcast, but even better when they're a friend that I can reconnect with. So, as this is for Crucible CloudWorks, who is a leader in the Salesforce space, we do a lot of Salesforce development. What's your day job then, right now?
So right now, I teach a series of virtual classes. And in fact, I even taught one this morning. They're based on technology, and all of my classes are virtual. And then I also make supporting videos, not only just for my classes, but also for many of my coworkers' classes who aren't as, technical. Many of my colleagues they're good instructors, but they aren't as used to the technology. So I make videos of them, and they're not like live videos. They're more like videos of the applications that we're trying to show people.
Okay, so
like
really you're creating like technical instruction videos, right? In the similar...
Yeah, I think.
Okay, so it's very similar to how Crucible here, we make learning videos for Salesforce, that sort of thing. And instead, your tutorial videos are for which application specifically?
For which application specifically? Actually, it's a series of them, and for example, there's like kind of an advanced search engine tool, and there's a document storage tool, and something that's a little bit like Twitter or X or whatever it is, but it's an internally focused kind of thing. And in addition to that, then we also have one that's more like best practices of not just how to use the tool technically, but like how to get the most out of it, things like that.
Okay, I mean, what's the size of your end client that's using these tools? I mean, it must be a pretty large client if it's using all these kind of proprietary technologies internally.
It is. It's pretty big. Well, I can't go into it too deeply, but it's a fairly large client. I'll just say that.
I see. So, moving right along then. I mean, the thing is, I don't really know you from work. I really know you from your creative endeavors, and
Absolutely.
It sounds like in this case, you, in addition to making, tutorial videos, what else are you engaged in right now?
Okay, so yeah, this is the thing where I have the secret life where I do all the your other stuff, but I think it all kind of works together, and so what I've been doing, really just since 2019, and it was like, almost right before the big lockdown. I remember I got my iPad. This is an iPad Pro that I got, and I got it in September of 2019 after I saw a video by somebody on YouTube of how to make comics, and it was how to make a one-page, fold-up comic. And since then, I've been tracking myself. I've made over 850 pages of comics, and I do comic books. I've printed over 1,000 pages in books. I also make comics. So these are some of the books that I've done. Oh, my goodness. And there's quite a few. Now, they're not all me. I'm the editor on these, but they're quite a lot of me. Like I said, I put 850 myself. This is around 1,000 pages. So I have the bulk of what's in this. This one's 200 pages. And let me show you the table of contents here. Is it out? It doesn't say. I think it does. Yeah. So this is. I think there's like, I don't know. There's around 20 stories. I'm on like 8 of them.
Oh, okay.
So, and everyone else is ones and twos. But I came up with sort of a way to how to describe it, to just kind of keep the creativity going and now I've discovered a couple of new ways to do it. So my idea at the beginning was to learn, like just to figure out how to do it. So I started just doing these sort of one-offs and making as many mistakes as possible.
Right.
Because if you make mistakes, you learn from every mistake. A lot of people do the opposite. Like, I want to make as few mistakes as possible and get one good thing. And for a lot of those people, I think that's all they ever do. And by the way, it's usually not that good when you're just beginning and you put all this effort and get real tense and stuff.
I think, not to reference our mutual history, but I mean, I think that's part of like why we started playing together like that, you know, and I remember
exactly right.
our drummer was still fairly new, and we just said, look, man, just get the first 1,000 hours of sucking out of your system real fast, right? So
It's so funny that you said the first 1,000 hours. That is the actual philosophy. It's the same one I apply to the music.
Right.
And it comes from the Todd McFarlane quote, you have to get your first 1,000 crappy pages out. And then you might be good. And like I said, I'm only at 850. I don't think I'm that good yet. Although I've got a body of work now that is fairly substantial. And I've gotten paid work and paid pretty good work. You know, I don't think I can make a living at it quite yet, but
I mean, that's still a fairly substantial thing. It's like, I mean, number one, not a lot of people will ever make money from their hobby, right? I mean,
that's
like,
true.
Despite this army of guitars on the wall, I've never made a dime doing music, right? I don't think I ever will. But even
selling a guitar,
even then, we both know I sell them at a loss. Okay,
I do too. I have the same thing going. That's what I was making a joke about me. I didn't mean to imply.
I still remember you made the funniest guitar sale ad of all time. You said, like, this guitar is just way too fancy for me. Whenever I pick it up, it feels like I should be wearing a smoking jacket or something like that.
Yeah,
so
it was
please
like
take it off my hands. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't remember which guitar that was.
That was Paul Reed Smith. So yeah.
It was the Paul Reed Smith. Yeah. Did you get that one? I thought I'd be someone else.
We got the exact same one.
That's right.
Because it was like a musician's friend doorbuster special or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a great price on it. Yeah. But I just felt it was too fancy for me. I like the crappy low end guitars.
Does that kind of lo-fi as aesthetic kind of make it into your art too? Or I've noticed
to a degree. Actually, yes, and I'll tell you why, and I'll show you. This is kind of funny. There's a million ways you can make comics. This is a program called Procreate. It costs about $10 on the iPad, and it's not the standard. The standard is something called Clip Studio Pro, which is the more pro version of it. And you can get these different brush packs. And this is, I don't know if you can see the.
Oh yeah.
I'll see if I can. There we go. There's one of my pieces for a role playing game.
Okay.
But the brushes that I use are actually lo-fi brushes. They're called the Westy Nib, and they are intentionally distressed. And I don't know if I zoom in really, but you can see how rough they are.
It kind of gives it that old style aesthetic, right? Yeah.
It looks like it's been printed on newsprint or something with like bad equipment, and that's the aesthetic that I go for. So I
get it.
So yes, it's carried across from music to art. It's the exact same idea.
Like that lo-fi jam thing, right? So.
It's the lo-fi jam. The lo-fi is cool, you know. Lo-fi is sort of now they got Lo-Fi Girl on YouTube. It's like the biggest channel on YouTube where people just want to hear this kind of.
You know, I listen to that same channel. It's got like 12 million followers or something like that, right? So
I'm one of them. Yeah, I'm on there. I'm listening to it. You just put it on, and it's great to listen to. I don't care that much about listening to, especially to each song or anything like that, like these, but they're you know, it's nice to hear, and actually I really enjoy it. So yeah, same deal.
So coming back to your artwork and the willingness to make mistakes and the fact that, like, you know, you're making money off it, right? I mean, you're not going to retire off it, but, you know, I mean, certainly you're well on your way to being the next Larry Elmore if you're already illustrating role-playing games. So
yeah, it was funny. You mentioned Larry Elmore. Yeah, so it's a funny story. So I had this kind of group of guys that I used to play D&D with, and one of them was also an artist who went to MICA. And I never got to go to art school. Like, that was one of the main regrets of my life. I should go to like an art school. That would be really cool. But I for safety, I'll get a regular degree, and I have an English degree, and I was a linguist in the military, and I did a bunch of other stuff. So I ran into Joel, and he told me it was the biggest regret of his life to go to art school because they don't teach you anything. He felt fairly depressed about it, but he later went on and he was able to kind of, he's still an artist. He's doing stuff. In fact, he makes guitars.
Joel Frock,
guitars. Right? Joel Frock, yeah.
Yeah.
Frock guitars. His brother Ben Frock is a musician in Baltimore as well. And where was I going with this story? Oh, he goes, hey, I just got this offer to go down to Ohio and paint with Larry Elmore for a month.
No way.
And it's going to cost $1,000 to do this thing. Yeah. You stay in like a apartment or something that they have for them. And do you want to go? And I'm like, I don't have $1,000. I can't do that. Plus, I'm going to paint with Larry Elmore. That sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
So he goes off and he does it, and it was, I guess I just wasn't ready or whatever. He comes back, and he must have had the greatest time of his life. He shows me the pictures on his phone, and it's just picture after picture of naked girls, because they had live models the whole time.
Right.
We're like, oh man, what did I miss out on? I've never, and also, he goes from, I thought we were about even, like maybe I was even a little better than him.
Yeah.
It's like this now. Like Joel's the great, he's a really good painter now. He had a gallery showing and stuff. Like he got really, really good. And he apparently had a great time. I'm like, oh, I'm just kicking myself. And he met Larry Elmore. He got to hang out with Larry Elmore too. So, along with a bunch of other people. So that's one of the jokes there. But, later on, and this is going on right now, it's a Kickstarter called Tarot Quest that Joel's on. He contacted me and he said, "Can you do some art for the game?" And he sent me a contract and a bunch of other stuff, and they're paying me for art. So I'm working with Joel Frock again, and it was really nice to get picked. It's some kind of tarot card based game which they actually already commissioned all the paintings from other people, but the interior illustrations are inked. And so that's what I do. So I get to do a lot of the ink drawings for those, and they really like them. So I'm happy with that.
But the thing is, then, I mean, what strikes me is in between, I guess, your day job and clearly you're engaged on several fronts on your hobby here. I mean, what helps you stay motivated? What helps you stay focused?
So that's a huge thing. Anybody can get a sketchbook and I'll learn to draw. I'll just draw. Right. I'll just keep drawing. But you eventually figure out that I've run out of things that I should draw. I don't know what to draw next.
Right. No one's surrounded by a bevy of naked women all the time, like Larry Elmore, right?
So they're not. If they're not there, like, what do you do? Well, it's the same, and it's the same with music. Okay, I can play these tabs over and over again, but eventually I get a little bored, and I'm not learning anything new, or I don't think I'm learning anything. You probably are learning something when you do something repeatedly. So it was a case of having to figure out what to do next, and how to stay motivated, and how to keep going for the next step, because you can stagnate, and if you just stick in one area and try and keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're unlikely to advance any. So a couple of things happened. There was an opportunity right when I bought the iPad in 2019, started making comics like a week later. Like it was pretty quick. I saw a video on YouTube how to do it, and that was that. The next thing is there was a Discord that started up, and it was other people that had watched the same video pretty much and wanted to make comics. So I found out most of those people were not that serious.
Right.
And I think that's just a truism. And if any of those people are serious, like, yeah, I'm very serious. Well, I'm obviously not talking about you. But most people are just not that serious. They might be interested in things, or they might be just interested in drawing. But I had a realization, kind of in my old age here, that comics are not about drawing. Comics are about storytelling. So, and it's a really confusing thing. It's storytelling through the art. So the writing is not what's important. The storytelling is. But if you can't write, you can't do the comic. So I had to figure out how to do the writing stuff right up. And not that I'm good at it now, but that had to be the focus. Because if you don't do that, when you finish your first comic, maybe you finish your first page, you have nothing else to do. You're done. You will no longer advance because you can't draw any more pages. You have nothing else to draw. So I had to figure that out in a hurry. And then the big lockdown happened. And in the lockdown, the Kubert School, which you might know is a fairly famous comic school. Joe Kubert started it in the 70s. And, people to this day go to this famous comic school, and it's great. It's huge. It's a little bit out of my range, and also I work full time, so it's not like I could just pick up and go to New Jersey to go to the school.
Right.
The lockdown happens, they virtualized the classes. And they not only they virtualized the classes, they made it so like you can go to, and it's called Kubert School Online. You can look it up in Google. $220 you can take a class. And
not bad?
Not bad, right? I'm like, $220. I got $220. They're sending me a $600 check, I hear.
Yeah.
So I immediately sign up for a class, and I get Tom Mandrake, who's the artist for Swamp Thing. He did Grimjack, is the teacher. And I'm like, oh, that's wonderful. And so I took my first class. I learned a ton from Tom Mandrake. And he's pretty nice. He's a pretty nice guy. But I got a little bit of the art school thing. He goes, okay, I'm looking at your pages here. You made a bunch of lazy choices. I'm like, that's exactly what I needed to hear. Like, you need harsh criticism in order to learn things. And I had the same experience with music lessons. A couple of times I tried to take part, and you learn a little bit when you get a nice teacher. But when you get a teacher that goes, no, you're doing it wrong. That's crap. You pay attention to what's actually on the page, kind of stuff like that. I seem to do better. Like, I need to get yelled at a little bit. And so when I took Lap Steel in 2016, I think, or 2017, I took, like, I don't know, maybe 6 months of lessons from this guy named Randy at Appalachian... The music store in Catonsville. I think it's called Appalachian Bluegrass or something like that.
Although, to be fair, that sounds horribly stereotypical, right? I just went and took lap steel lessons from Randy down at Appalachian Music.
Bluegrass. I couldn't find anybody else to teach me, so yeah, but nobody else teaches that instrument. But he knew the instrument. Yeah. He was a crazy cat too, because here's a really old guy, and he goes, now this one's got more of a math rock kind of feel, he's math rock is? Wow, that's kind of cool.
Did you have to pay him in moonshine or something? Or
yeah, he played in a band with Mink DeVille. Do you know who Mink DeVille is?
It's not ringing a bell.
It's funny. It's one of the remember when we had Divine, the crazy Divine in Baltimore with John Waters.
I don't know the local music scene that well.
There was this sort of gang of crazy people in Baltimore, and they made crazy movies. The movies with Divine in them. I don't know. They're John Waters films.
Okay.
But one of those people in I think it's called. Oh, I can't remember which movie, but Mink DeVille was one of the people that was in the movie. He ended up in that band. Like there's videos of him like backing Mink DeVille on lap steel. So,
oh wow.
And he taught me a bunch of stuff, and then I eventually switched back to I got a Telecaster, like a knockoff Telecaster, and taught me a little more stuff like that. Because I kind of, I'm a punk rock guy and a rock guy, but there's so much to learn in country and bluegrass stuff that you can apply to other things, and I wanted to learn it. I wanted to learn slide guitar and much other stuff. And he was great at teaching me stuff. Now I'm not real good at it, and I think a lot of that is kind of gone the way. It's right to your, you forget about it.
Yeah.
But I learned a bit, and then anyways, just to go back to the comics for a second. After Tom Mandrake, I got Jan Duursema as a teacher. They ran another class, and Jan Duursema actually happens to be married to him. But I knew Jan Duursema because she drew all these. These are the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons comics, and you can see that. I don't know if you can see the artist on there. It's Jan Duursema. And I got her as a teacher, and she is awesome. She is a great teacher, too. And then I also took inking from Joe Prado, and these were incredible experiences, like one after the other. And it was like $200 a pop for 6 meets.
Hey, like you said, lockdown. Man, you had a $600 check that was just burning a hole in your pocket, but
yeah, I used it the best way possible. I'm like, I'm going to get some life skills.
Well, at the same time, I mean, man, like a lot of people wouldn't have used that $600 for self-advancement like that. I mean, what do you think makes yourself different?
It's funny. I don't know if I even thought about it, but I was so obsessed with trying to get ahead, like trying to learn stuff. I was really obsessive with at the time, and I don't do it as much, but like just drawing every day. I do draw every day. I actually put out a video every day on YouTube for me drawing for at least 30 minutes.
Okay.
And
you
some of
just
these
record
videos
it live stream or
just it's not live, but the video actually is pretty much live. I just turn the video on and record, and I don't do any editing because I'm lazy. That was about accountability. It was just about, okay, I'm gonna, because if I don't have that many people watching my channel, but if I miss a day, everyone's gonna notice in my mind, right? So that keeps me going. And yeah, it's the same thing. I didn't think about it until much later, but there's one of my videos is before and after Cubic School, and I was showing like my early work, and I was showing my current stuff, and you can see that I have really ramped up, in the 2 or 3 year period that I was doing that stuff, and so I feel really good about it. And it's I'm still taking classes, by the way. I took a class from Gavin Smith, who does Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Right.
That just ended, and he's going to be teaching again in April. And send us a thing. It's like, if you want to take it again. This is the cool thing about this class. It's CC, so you just keep taking it over and over again. And it's $200 each time. You get an assignment. I did Moon Knight for one of the assignments. Like they give you a script, and they give you, they usually really soft pedal you. They go, just do 4 pages over 6 weeks.
Right.
And at this point, I can do 4 pages in 4 days, right? So but they really have you like, I want you to really go real tight on stuff. Well, anyways, all right. Let me just to backtrack even more. I took that first Tom Mandrake class, and then I had the idea that, hey, what we should do? I know from role-playing games, everything's all connected. The music, the music, the gaming stuff, and the art. I know from role-playing games about Lulu.com. Lulu is a print-on-demand publisher. You can submit a manuscript, they'll bind it, print it, bind it.
Yeah.
They ship it, and you can just buy it for yourself. You don't have to put any profit in it, so you can get like, if it costs $6 to print, you just buy 1 copy for $6, throw it on your shelf, and as you can see, they look pretty good. They're nice glossy covers.
Oh my gosh! So technically, you've been published. It's just self-published, right? But that's a start.
I've been self-published, but I've also I got published by Animal Comics, something called Robot Zero, and then also I got invited to this other thing. This guy named Christian Mateo's Fugitive Poems. I did 2 comics in there. So I started out self-publishing, but that was like, suddenly I had a rep. Like, I was like, oh, well,
right.
You got, at that time, 300 pages of printed material, suddenly you got a rep. Even if you only printed it yourself, and even if some of the comics are not that great. I'm the first to admit, they are in fact not that great. Like, here's the cover right. This is the full collected works, volume 11.
All right.
And because it's a little bit more amateur, this stuff than other stuff than like a pro comic would be, but I have slowly ramped up, and I'm very happy about it. I don't know, it feels good to do it. I feel like I'll be able to do this as much as I want. Like, I don't think it's not like you lose the ability. It's kind of like playing an instrument. You don't lose the ability. It's like riding a bike or whatever.
You might stagnate for a bit, but
right, exactly. You might stagnate for a bit, but it's just a cool, like I said, like a light skill. Oh, I did this one. I did a newspaper. So newspapers are hard to do because they have to be printed on newsprint, and they have to use a special press. So I found a way to do that too. So there's so many ways to stay motivated, because once you have a physical copy of something, it can be very motivating. This could be whether if you're a musician, getting a CD made and put the sticker on it and put it in the toolbox and put it on the shelf.
It's like you have that physical, tangible legacy for it, right?
Exactly. That's why I think I like the digital world. I think that my future is probably going to be in digital comics, like maybe PDFs or whatever the digital platform will be in the future. And I'm sure there will be something. But having the physical copy is hugely motivating. It's really cool to have it in your hands, and you can go to things like conventions, and they have this thing called Artist Alley where you can, let me sell you a physical copy of my book, and that's very cool as well. I've done that a couple of times as well.
So speaking of the digital realm, then, I mean, it's odd because we've emphasized so much about what it feels like to have that thing in print, to have that physical
Yep.
legacy, and yet all your work starts out on the iPad, right?
Yes.
Huh.
Well, most.
Okay.
98%, I would say. A couple of classes I have taken where they were required to be on paper. So I actually do real inking. Like, I have real ink, crystal melt ink.
Right.
I took traditional inking from JP Buzzio and Joe Prado both. Both required you to actually have paper and stuff like that. And not only that, I have a fairly good legacy of sketchbooks, which I was using to, like, in between comics and in between things to stay motivated.
Practicing, right, every day.
Yeah, you have to learn a lot. Like, it really is a repetition thing, like to learn figure drawing or even to learn portraiture, faces, or hands. We can draw hands. I can't draw hands that well just yet, but I think my hands are getting better. This repetition. So you can fill a book up with gesture drawings and sketches and things in different poses or angles and stuff like that.
The thing is, though, it's funny because with the iPad and tools like that especially, right? I mean, either you're just using it to keep your kids entertained, or it's like a serious like professional tool. I mean, even my producer uses her iPad continually for like storyboarding and other things like that, right? So, I mean, it's just weird. There doesn't seem to be like an in-between there or anything else like that, right? I mean... And I get it because it's convenient. I mean, I've got a Wacom tablet I would use for whiteboarding before, but it's just inconvenient to have something plugged in you got to carry around, whereas like the iPad just seems easier like that.
It's way easier. So that's the other thing. Most of the people doing digital comics that I know are not using an iPad. They're using, they might have a nice Cintiq tablet, which is stationary. It goes on goes right in front of you, so you can draw on it. And they're sitting at a desktop or something like that. But this is kind of cool because I can take it into the living room and while we're watching TV in the evening, me and my girlfriend, I'll usually be drawing, which is a lot of fun. You get into like these sort of secret hidden hours that you didn't know you had, are end up finishing huge pieces, which is great.
I think having a workflow that you're comfortable with in any endeavor, be it like professional, hobby, art, music, even for me coding, anything like that, having your workflow, I guess, work for you rather than having as a hindrance is important. Like I do recall, when we were recording before, right? I would have to get everything set up on the computer just right and all that stuff. And these days, whenever I get like a song idea or something, I just like I literally just have a looper. I'm just like, and then I've got my little drum and bass line, and I'll just loop other things over top of that and just come up with a song organically, right? That because for me the workflow is if I just sit down with the guitar in my hand, I don't know what to do, right?
Right.
So,
you miss out, or I have the exact same problem, and I did a couple of things. I had like a secret YouTube channel where I was making videos, but it quickly became more about making the videos than the music, and I was just trying to race through the music so I could get into making a funny video, and putting it together. And it's because of that. I didn't have a good process for it. I got really into I think it's over there. It's a chord build your own synth kind of thing.
Yeah.
I can't forget the model number, but it was, and I'm playing with the pedals, I'm going like, I'm going to do this thing with delay. It's going to be real ambient, and I'll use like lap steel and volume pedal swells to do these sounds. I'll send you some videos for it later. I think I did send you a couple of videos.
You did, yeah.
From back in that era.
Yeah. So, I guess then, I mean, one thing, just having this discussion with you, that's really occurred to me that strikes you as, I guess, different from the usual people who try something out and everything is one thing that really struck home to me is, when you went to when you're going to the masters of the craft and they're just, pardon my French, crapping on your work, you didn't take that personally.
Not at all.
And that's
not at all.
no, that's fascinating to me because I talk to a lot of different professionals, and a lot of people in the field, like especially my field, like IT, a lot of people believe they're above reproach and will never admit to a mistake. They do not take criticism well. But for you, it seems like that's almost your superpower, right? I mean, to tie it into comics, right? I mean, don't mind
absolutely.
getting shit on.
Not at all. Not at all. That's the only way to learn, in fact.
Yeah.
And yeah, especially if usually that's how they mean it too. Is from what I found,
course.
especially with artists, they're like, you did this wrong. This would have been a lot better if you'd done it. Even the stuff like Joel Frock, the guy who gave me the art job for Terror Quest, and that one picture of the guy with the dragon I showed you earlier. The original I sent, he sent me like a 3-page thing about why it was broken, and he's like, "There's not enough going on in this picture," and I'll show you the original, and I'll show you where it went. Kind of about before and after. So this is the original, right here.
Yeah.
And let's see, you can see it. Okay. And he sent me like a 3-page thing, and I'll show you where it went from there. I said from that, we ended up with this. He wanted, change the size or add more details of the background, and he said add a border and this Cups of Ambition thing over there, and that still wasn't good enough. And then he says, no, we want like more like an Art Nouveau border, with the stuff that cuts some of that stuff. This is one of the nicest pieces I've done, and it's because I got yelled at 3 times, pretty much, in email.
Yeah.
And it's not really yelled at, but I mean, he gave me good advice all the way through it. Which I guess that's what an art director kind of does, I suppose. The thing is, when it comes down to it.
But the thing is, in the modern workplace, I think a lot of people don't have that permission to make a mistake anymore, right? I mean, certainly
you're right about that.
That's
people
going to be a. I mean, people talk about toxic workplaces and stuff all the time, and I mean, the degree of that can be highly debated. But at least, if you're not offering people like truly constructive criticism, and the thing is, if mistakes are like a dead end or a termination rather than an opportunity to grow, what's going to become of a professional's our shared professional culture over time?
I'm quite worried about it and it's especially bad for contractors. If you're a subcontractor, a contractor on something, the customer may not even mean anything by it when he gives you, no, I wanted to do this and not that.
Yeah.
I've given you some new requirements. Anybody else that gets involved in that, a program manager, anybody, a manager, some company rep that gets it, or say, we'll take that guy off the project immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw a really interesting video. I can't remember what the dude's name is. He does software stuff. His dad used to work at World of Warcraft. I can't remember the name of his software thing, but he also has a lot to do with cyber protection, hacking protection kind of stuff. And he did some of the security stuff for Blizzard, for World of Warcraft.
Okay.
And he goes, okay, we want you to test the security. And so he basically did a bunch of things where he was able to socially engineer his way past the help desk and get some details that he wasn't supposed to get.
Right.
And they said, well, okay, just give me the names of the people who did that. He said, I'm not doing you the names because those are some of your best employees. What you need to give them is you need to give them more training and better training, because most of the people that were doing this were doing this in the name of customer service, right? So I'm trying to remember that guy's name. I'll have to look it up. It's just a channel that pops up every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm just making a footnote now. We'll have to look it up later because that's just a fascinating story.
I'll find it for you. I'll find it. I'll send it to you.
All right.
It's super interesting.
I mean, we've made a mistake right now in this podcast. We should do our research in advance, right? So,
yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, if I consider this one of my first 1,000 pages of podcasting, and I mean, I'm looking forward to the next mistake. I think
absolutely. I think it's a great thing, and when you give yourself that freedom, and some of the other freedom is I have a plan. I don't know if I want to go into the details just, but I have a plan to retire. There's a company plan that I can retire at 57, which is a little bit like a year and a half away. It's like a year and 3 months or something.
Right.
Now, when I say I retire, I'm not going to get a lot of money. It's one of those things. It's like, if you retire at 62, you're getting this much.
Yeah.
And if you're retired soon, you're getting this much. If you're retiring now, you're probably getting this much right here. But that much is going to be fine, because then I can also, that much is probably enough for, I don't know, rank or something. I can work at Home Depot and do comics or something, you know?
Yeah.
Do something else. And I plan on doing it. I've enjoyed my time. I think I'm doing okay with things, but I don't know. You know, one of those things. I don't want to be in the environment I'm in as much anymore.
Professionally,
not the
right?
job. Yeah, the professional environment anymore. It's been fun. Ready to do something else. I'm getting close to a real retirement age. I'm getting close, and I've saved
I think, as
bit.
you said, it's just the inability for people to make mistakes in a professional environment adds to it a lot, right? And the thing is, for myself, just speaking, I mean, I've worked with juniors. You know, I do a lot of like mentoring, tutoring, that sort of thing. And the number of times I've, you know, been walking through a concept and said, hey, you know, so this is when X does Y. Do you understand what X does? And 7 out of 10 times I will get a yes, I know. When I know they don't know what it means, I will ask a second or third time, and then eventually it'll be like, look, you have to know what X is before we proceed. At that point, usually they'll cave and say they don't know, right? But why would someone do that? I just don't understand. It's dangerous after a point.
Nobody wants to look dumb, right? And there's a fear aspect to it. I'll look like I'm not suited for this. There's the imposter syndrome that almost everybody seems to have at certain times. But that's a real fear, you know, that or they go the opposite direction and they get really defensive and you start yelling at you or something like that.
But
I've seen that one.
To kind of tie this to the overall global picture, I think the difficulty there is it's sort of related to why there's no genuine creators anymore, right? Like everybody, it's easy for us old men here to sit and say, dare these kids, no one's picking up guitar no more. But it's like nobody wants to make a mistake.
The kids today with the hair and the clothes. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. You know, I mean, nobody wants to make mistakes. Nobody wants to learn by having that first 1,000 pages be terrible, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, you know, you used to talk about like the punk rock stuff, and that was the whole point was the process. It was okay to be messy. It was okay to have like some crap recordings.
It was okay to sound like garbage because you did, right? It's like
you did.
Oh my
gosh, listening to it anyways.
Sonic
it was
Reducer,
fun.
Dead Boy, Sonic Reducer, one of the best songs of all time, and yet it sounds like trash, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what a great song! Sonic Reducer, ain't no loser.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, absolutely. People aren't allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah.
They don't allow themselves to do that, and there's a lot of fear. I organize right now. In the midst of organizing another anthology. It's gonna be a Halloween one. They'll come out around October, I hope. And some people are like, "Well, thanks for inviting me, but I'm not that good," you know. And I'm like, "No, Matt, this is just gonna be. It's a student publication. It's just to be for fun."
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you're invited if you want to be in it. You don't have to be in it. It's free. I mean, you know, we're not charging people for the anthologies. If you want to buy a copy for yourself, you can order from the website, which is Lulu or whatever. But if you want the PDF or whatever, you can have one. You know, it's no big deal. And I think that those things are great memories, and they're also, to me, they're very motivating. Some people can take that a little bit too far, and they suddenly decide that they're pros after they do a couple of student anthologies, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a bit removed from the scene, but it's like, it kind of reminds me of open mics back in the day and stuff, right? But
it's totally an open mic.
Yeah,
in fact, Peter Seckler, I don't know if you know Peter Seckler, he does alternate comics. His show is called alternate comics open mic night or something like that, and they'll just have anybody on, and they'll be like showing the comic off. This is my comic, you know. It is open mic night.
Yeah, but the problem is, all it takes at open mic night is like one guy who comes in who's a little too polished. Like you got that one guy who's just at the open mic to try out some material before he goes on tour, and he just ruins it for the rest of them, right? I mean, like, we need to bring back celebration of amateurs, you know? So
I might be that guy now, because like I take the same class I've been taking since I was the most embarrassed beginner. And when I started out, I was easily if I was not the worst person in the class, I was one of the 3 worst. Like I was always trying to gauge myself. Like, oh, I think I didn't do the worst project this time, you know.
Yeah.
But I know I actually went back and I looked. I've taken 9 classes so far, and it's a variety of things. It's either narrative art or inking or something else, and at least 3 of them, I always felt like I was the absolute worst person in the class.
Right.
Where, you know, and then several I was like, okay, I'm getting a little bit better at it. And then this most recent one, I think, oh, no, I think I'm getting a little bit more polished.
The thing is, I mean, that improvement, though, that's really your accomplishment, and not necessarily just from the improvement, but, you know, just try to tie this all together, you know? I mean, it's okay to screw up, and you are more willing to screw up, and that's what's led to your growth. That's why you're miles above these other people, because you just kept at it, kept on screwing up when other people would just try just hard enough to make it good enough, and then they would stop. But no, you just kept screwing up, respectfully, just screwing up until you got it right. So,
absolutely true, and that was exactly my approach to music as well. And I'm still fairly rough with the music. But I think it also teaches you a little bit of compassion for other people that are in their quest. They're on the journey there.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than somebody who's really good, but they're kind of a snob about it, and they're just kind of like, you know, the nose turned up. I'm encountered that in bands before, where you know, oh, you guys, okay, well, whatever, you know.
I think that's when we were rocking out, man. That's why it was so much fun, because we didn't mind screwing up, right?
Not at all.
You didn't mind if I did, like, you know, a 10-minute long solo with my ring modulator pedal on or all that.
It was hilarious. It was awesome. And I love ring modulators, by the way. I thought you sounded great. Yeah, no, it's totally true. There's a book called "Humility is the New Smart." Have you ever heard about this book?
No, it sounds like something.
You can find it on Amazon.
Yeah, this is my second screw up for the night, because I should have had that already captioned, ready to go, right? Yeah, with the clip art coming up, but maybe we can fix it in post, right? So
yeah, we'll fix it. Yeah, we'll fix it in post.
Fix it in post, yeah.
I'm trying to remember the guys who wrote it. "Humility is the New Smart," and it is a book about you. It's about collaboration, and it's also about, you know, you can't really improve yourself until you start to see the good in others, and you sort of are able to articulate your biases and other things, and gain a lot of compassion, and you can get the best out of other people. Like as a leader, if you're trying to lead a team, you know, you may have the weirdest crew of people, but they probably each have some kind of superpower that you may not even be aware of. You know, one person might be really good at one thing, or have a real big potential at another thing, and unless you have that kind of compassion, you won't be able to recognize it or benefit from it.
I wouldn't call it compassion necessarily, because I think compassion is overrated. I would say it's more a form of empathy. Right, because you just have to feel where the other person is coming from and understand that. You don't necessarily have to feel bad for them, but you have to understand the circumstances. And, you know, not to pat myself on the back, but when I created the team here at Crucible Cloudworks, like, I you know, it's more of a ragtag bunch of misfits in some ways, because
that's the best team.
I look for people with attitude over aptitude, because aptitude you could teach, right? But that attitude you can't. And one of the core things we have here is, like, every month I give people one F-up card, right? And if they make a mistake, that's fine. Cash your F-up card, right? And we even have a little legality surrounding the F-up card. Like, once someone's used their F-up card, you can't bring it up anymore. You're not allowed to laugh at them. You can't make fun of them for it, right? But every month, one F-up. You get to make one F-up, okay? It doesn't carry over. It's not like cell phone minutes or anything else like that. Right?
You can't bank it.
No, you can't bank it. So yeah, but I've been told personally it does help a lot in as far as, like, taking away that edge, especially for someone learning new skills. And, you know, I think if a lot more professional organizations had something like that, had that kind of permission to screw up, permission to grow, maybe we'd be in a better place. And, you know, maybe you wouldn't be retiring early, but certainly if you do, you're more than welcome over here at Crucible Cloudworks, sir. So.
Awesome. Sounds good. Yeah, I think it's great. I think that makes for the best team when you're able to sort of recognize. You got to have the right kind of mindset. I think the mindset is a huge part of it. you can always tell when somebody is doesn't have the right mindset, and they might be pretty good at their job or
Yeah.
or whatever else. But if the mindset is wrong, you're never going to get much out of them. It just, no matter what a child star they are or what a genius they are, they're always going to be. It's always going to be like pulling teeth.
Yeah, exactly. Like, nobody wants to deal with child prodigies. They're just, not. I mean, with all due respect to Bobby Fischer, I'm sure he wasn't that pleasant to work with, right? So, I mean,
Right. Absolutely.
yeah. But this has been a great conversation, Peter. I mean, we should have more conversations like this. That's for sure. So.
I agree. I completely agree. Thanks so much for inviting me on. I was really surprised. I'm like, well, this is. I don't have a. I don't think of myself as a tech-focused person. Although I guess I kind of am. I don't know.
I mean, you are literally
applications.
doing tutorials for tech for other people. I would say that at least puts you in, the middle tier, right? But I think no matter what it is, whether it applies to, teaching others or whether it applies to, putting that digital pen on the iPad, I mean, clearly you can excel at whatever you put your mind to, sir, and it's not necessarily through just raw talent. It is just through sheer grinding it out and making those mistakes along the way, man.
I have no raw talent. It is all grind. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all good.
Oh, shut up. Thanks so much for saying that.
No. I mean, it's just my observations, man. So, I mean, I may not be good at much, but I've definitely made the wrong observations of people before, and perhaps by making those mistakes, that's how I can meet people like you, sir. So.
Well, once again, yes, this experience is the best teacher. You'll learn a lot.
All right. Well, once again, thanks for being here on Crucible Cloudworks Live with us tonight, and I will see you all later.
All right.
We'd be happy to give your Salesforce org a second look. Thank you for subscribing. We look forward to seeing you on our next episode.